You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
So I do these gardens because it is my great love, and it's one of the most fun things that I get to do, and I get to be outside, and I'm not in front of the computer,
Yes.
which I don't like.
So you get to play with all the plants.
I get to play with the plants, and I get to space out and think about the plants. Think, okay, this is going to come up in June, and this is going to go down in June, and this is going to. So it's like you're being creative, but you're working in time too. So you're creating, but you're thinking about what's coming up and what's going down, and what's going to wrap around each other, what's going to smother each other, and is this plant going to survive being smothered, and then come up through the other things. And so it's really fun. I love that place to be. It's my favorite place to be.
How did you start gardening? I'm just always like to ask everybody this.
Well, it's a good question.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't know. Well, it's my grandmother, who I'm named after, Anastasia, who lived outside of Sparta in Cilicia on top of a mountain, she raised her 4 daughters on a mountain, and the way that she survived was with the gardens.
Right.
And so my mom always says that I took after her. We grew up in apartments in Washington, D.C., and so we had no garden or anything. But one day, I remember, my mom doesn't remember this, but she had a pack of seeds, and I remember her going in front of the apartment building and scratching a little spot like this big and throwing the seeds in it. And I'm like maybe 4 or 5, and I'm fascinated, and I'm like, oh, this is so exciting, you know. And I went out there every day to see if the seeds would come up.
Really?
And they never did.
Oh.
So she sent you out to the public park looking for horta, right?
Right. So they never did come up, but you know, and then so that was always inside of me. It's like wanting those seeds to come up. Years go by, and I ended up working at Berkeley Horticultural Nursery in Berkeley. And I went to a friend's house. She worked there. Her name was Julie Snyder, and she was a walking plant encyclopedia. And we went to her studio apartment in Oakland. So I walk in, and there's just one room with a bed in the middle, but all around the bed are fluorescent lights with trays underneath. And I'm an old hippie, right? So I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. You were sleeping in the middle of all this germination energy, right? How cool is that? And then she took me up 5 flights of a fire escape to her roof, and she was growing plants for the nursery on top of her roof in 4-inch pots like we do. And she was carrying the big bags of soil on her shoulder up and down, and carrying the flats up and down. And I was totally amazed. And I went home that day, and I looked at my backyard, and I'm like, oh man, I could totally do that, and I don't have to go up and down the steps. So that very day, I collected seed from my backyard of Lunaria purpurea, which we still grow, and I collected some seeds, and I threw them in a 6-pack. Just threw them on there and put them in an old broken down shed, and I watered them every day. And about 3 days later, my cat Jupiter walked all over the trays and left footprints. I'm like, oh, and I was all bummed out, but I kept watering them anyway. And then another 5 days later, up came the seeds, and they only came up where the cat had walked, because she had tamped down the seeds.
This is so crazy.
So, because I would have been like everyone else, I think. If they had, I would have been like, oh, seeds are too hard. So that was the beginning. But there's so many varieties coming through here,
Right.
in and out. And then my workers are now bringing in lots of varieties. So I'll walk around the nursery and go, what's this? I never heard of it. This is so cool. And I get all excited. Like, who ordered this? Or where? I mean, we're in the Bay Area, so we're so lucky. And so we'll get stuff from Striving Arboretum.
Oh, yes.
And UC Botanical has donated to us. And then people will bring seeds from their travels around the world.
We have this constantly like developing new things, and so all along the fence you'll see these plants, and you sort of can walk by them and they're little and green, and then one day you walk by and it's doing something stupendous.
Right.
We
We just talked about that.
Yeah, so there's constantly this like feeling of discovery when you're trialing this many new plants. You can have that sort of magical feeling maybe like once a week.
You'll get this seed from somebody who brought it back from somewhere, or from New Zealand, and they'll say, "Oh, this is so beautiful. You just have to grow it. I don't know what the name is, you know." But we're game for that, just to see. And so, you know, one day, and it may take, you know, a year or so for the seed to germinate, and then it grows and grows, and you're like, "Oh, what's it gonna do?" And then, you know, a year or two later, it'll form a bud, and you're like, "Oh, it's more buds, and then you're just waiting, and then that crack occurs where you see the color, and then it goes, and usually it's something stupendous, and we're just like, yay! It's so exciting to be able to see something that you can't even find a picture of anywhere. And you just gotta love people who just do one thing in the world, and that's what they do. Yes. And they are so into it, and they are so full of life and spark and everything cool, because they're just like, nothing can rain on their parade, because there's always another new one that's going to open up, and what's it going to be, right?
Sunshine.